It's that time of year again, folks. Assassin's Creed. A new one. It's called Syndicate. It's not that old Bullfrog game. It's an Assassin's Creed game. And we're here with Alexa Ray Correa, who reviewed it for videogames.com.
I did.
And Josh Shaw, who...
You played it a little.
You played it a little.
Yeah.
More than me, but not as much as Alexa.
Right.
You played 75%.
75% sync.
It's great. Almost done. Another 25%. We'll let you finish that review. You gotta complete. You gotta do everything.
Because that's like every collectible,
That'd be a bit too much.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have the Witcher 3 review up still if
that
was the rule we went by. But yeah, you completed the crap out of this game.
I did.
9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. Let's first of all talk about the world, because this is something that I'm not a huge fan of some of the elements of the gameplay, but the world, the London that they create, as somebody who used to live there, not in the 1860s or whatever, is incredible. I really, it's true to life and really evocative of that place, I feel.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I never used fast travel. I always used the rope launcher to get around because everything just looks really good. And there's like people milling around and you can jump on the top of carts and punch the drivers out like GTA. Like there's just so much to do, and like climbing the side of Big Ben is really exhilarating.
How long were you playing until you climbed Big Ben?
I think it's like in like the 4th or 5th sequence where you actually have to go up for a mission.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent. That was like the first thing I did when I got to the open world.
So
it was like just sprint, Trafalgar Square, Big Ben.
You know what I did is I jumped from boat to boat to boat on the river.
Did you?
So good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is funny, actually.
All the sync points are like masts and everything.
Yeah, and sometimes you're on like boxes, and a boat just comes out of nowhere and just knocks you back into the Thames. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so a pretty looking world. Let's talk about missions, though, second of all, I guess. Let's talk about the side missions, first of all, because in your review, that seemed to be one of the focal points of where some of the best gameplay was happening.
Oh, yeah. My favorite parts of the game were the side missions with Charles Dickens, where you were ghost hunting. You were in his ghost club doing some stuff about town. I really like the use of the historical characters. I think that they fit in with the story really well. They fit in with the London setting really well, and Jacob and Evie's involvement with them, I thought, was very smart. It didn't feel shoehorned in. But these missions, like the story missions, get a little creative, and the Conquering Borough missions, you have the same in each borough, but these side missions are really interesting. Like there's one where you're hunting down a printing press because Karl Marx is having awful posters of himself posted all over London. Right. So you have to find the press and then rip down all the posters and then tail the guy who's making them and then interrogate him. Like, why did you do it? And there's a lot of kidnapping missions. And one of the missions, there's people are listening to Karl Marx speak, and you have to infiltrate the crowd, kidnap, and by kidnapping, it's like you punch them out and you just grab their arm. 4 different dudes that are maybe going to kill Karl Marx. Okay. And without attracting any attention, because if you make a scene, then someone shoots Karl Marx and he ragdolls down, and it's like really, really like awful but funny.
Wow. How many times did you watch Karl Marx get shot?
4 or 5. He's in the middle of his speech and he literally just ragdolls over himself, which is actually kind of funny. But you have to escort them very quietly out of the area, and then kick them on their way, and then you come back, and it's really interesting. I liked that variation.
So that's the side stuff. Like you said, there's the main quests as well throughout the game. Talk a little bit about the boroughs, because for somebody who hasn't played the game, they mightn't understand what that is. So there's a bunch of different boroughs, and kind of like Infamous Second Son or Crackdown or something like that. Like you basically just complete those missions to get control of those areas, right?
Yeah, each one has 4 different kinds of mission: bounty hunts, Templars you have to take down, and one I'm forgetting right now, and then child liberation missions where you free children from factories.
To work for you.
To work for you. You can make them like bring you crafting items.
Out of the frying pan.
Oh, yeah. No, it's so great. Like I'll be walking down the street and there'll be this little like chubby kid like running by with an R1 over his head, and I go over and he's like, "Here you go, Mom," and he gives me like a bunch of bullets, and I'm just like, "Yes."
Oh my God.
Bullets. It's so good.
Wow. This is the London I wish I lived in.
It's so good. But yeah, and then there's the gang war where you get into the gang fight with the gang leader in that borough.
Do they get bigger? Because I was in one, but it was like 10 versus 10.
Oh yeah, the last gang fight I was in, there were 18 people on both sides. And like the AI does a really good job of like helping you out, but obviously you have to carry a little bit more of the weight because it's like your thing. And then the gang leader comes out and you one-on-one fight them. Really super cool. That's where the bombs that electrocute people. Did you get those? I think Alexander Graham Bell gives them to you. Bell gives them to you. It's one of the weapons that you can get from him, and you literally throw it on the ground, and it electrocutes everyone, including yourself. So if you're willing to use it, you also take a little bit of damage, which is adds to is really cool. But no, like you have to complete all of those missions in order to, and then defeat the gang leader in order to gain control of the borough. And that final gang war can actually be made easier because if you kill the gang leader earlier, like sometimes you'll complete like the third mission in the area, and the gang leader will show up and be like, screw you. And if you manage to chase them down and kill them, then the rest of the borough is so easy because the gang leader's already dead.
Yeah,
you just got to take it over.
Them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super cool.
We spoke a lot of praises about London in terms of its like architecture and how it looks and everything. But Josh, we were talking before about the sort of people in London, the actual pedestrians. Doesn't really feel like sort of the realistic open world, shall we say?
Yeah, it doesn't feel as lived in as some of the like better, more modern open world games. Because I feel like the AI has changed very little over the Assassin's Creed history. Like the guards still see you walking down the street and like yell at you and chase you down. The people still kind of just like, they'll see a dead guard and just kind of like look at it, and then I think you were playing and they were like waiting for you to move the body so he could get his cart by and everything. It just like doesn't have that kind of Grand Theft Auto, like everyone's got their own kind of character and like some will fight you and some will ignore you. But like if you kill someone in front of an NPC, that NPC will just not react. They'll say stuff, but they aren't gonna fight you and they aren't gonna run. They'll just like react.
Yeah.
See, I had NPCs run from me when I killed people in front of them. I had crowds actually disperse away from me while I was like murdering someone.
Yeah, there were missions where I'd like start a little fight, like a distraction, and then the crowd would kind of do a crowd thing. They'd all like rush past a barrier, but in just like day-to-day, like running around, it didn't seem like the NPCs were
I guess when that stuff doesn't work, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
That's a good point.
A lot of the time. But you played a bunch of it. We got code like I feel like late last week, and you played a bunch over the weekend. What was it about it, Josh, that made you want to keep playing it?
I do think, when I first started, I didn't think I'd like the grappling hooks at all.
Yeah.
I thought it's like half the fun is just like climbing the buildings, but those are like so exhilarating to use. There's like a lot of things you can do, just jumping off a building to assassinate someone, and then just like going straight back up before the next guy walks around the corner. And like you can also set up air assassinations by making like a string across 2 buildings and setting that up. So there's a lot of cool uses, and just to get from one place to another, if you don't want to ride the awful carriages, you can just grapple your way all the way across the city. And so that thing actually turned out to be a really cool way to traverse.
Oh yeah.
And like, it's that's probably one of the biggest changes to me just compared to previous games. But as far as overall, like the thing that turns me off the most is the stealth didn't feel super tight, and I wanted to stealth my way through the game. I liked using Evie the most.
Yeah, me too.
Because she could fight. It wasn't like she was weak. Like she could totally take on her share of people. It was just the stealth sometimes is like, I feel like I did it right, but then I got caught and like I tried again and I felt like I had it and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that was my fault or the system.
Let's talk about the characters then as well, because to that point, I guess you have these 2 protagonists, and I guess later on in the game, because you can sort of min-max one of them on like stealth and the other one on like brawling, then you end up having sort of almost like what happens when you're in any other game where you decide, oh, I'll go stealth or I'll go in like all guns blazing, but this time you sort of you don't have to like spread it across the 2 of them.
Yeah, they have, each of them has 3 skills distinct to them, and then the rest they can learn everything. And Evie's are stealth-based. Her stealth, you can max out her stealth stats. She can carry more silent weapons, like throwing knives. She can carry like twice as many as Jacob can. And she has that chameleon skill, which makes her completely invisible if she stays still, which is really useful for if you're like on rooftops and you're like waiting for someone, you go invisible so no one can see you even if they're passing by. Jacob has the more brawler skills. Like, I think my favorite of his personal skills is it automatically makes every counter shot. Like if you counter with someone with a gun, they're instant headshots, which is pretty cool.
Handy tool to have.
Handy tool to have, yes.
We were talking earlier as well, I guess, the sort of the breadth of appreciation of certain Assassin's Creed titles is kind of all over the place. Like there's some people who love Black Flag, there's some people who don't like Black Flag, there's some people who like the first one and don't, and the same is true of, I feel like Unity, we were all kind of on the same page about, but the same is kind of true of Syndicate as well. And one of the elements that happens with that is how much you sort of like the protagonists. For me, I don't think they've kind of sparked as much interest as they have for you. But speak to that a little bit. What is it about those characters that you really enjoy?
So I really like that. I know with Unity we had the love interest and there was that tension of like, romance. But Jacob and Evie, the way that they've written them and the way that they play them out, like they're twins, but it's clear that like Evie was born first. Like she takes she takes the lead. She's like, we are doing the assassin stuff by the book. We're looking for the piece of Eden. Like, please don't we're just don't screw anything up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm gonna make a gang.
Yeah. The
and,
Rooks.
Yeah, he's so excited about his gang. And the first couple cutscenes in the game, she's talking to Henry Green, who is the lead of the assassins in London, and she's like, yep, we're here looking for a piece of Eden, and Jacob just pops in and is like, don't forget about my gang. Like, he's just so into it. And I really like the way that they play off of each other. She's very serious, he's very goofy, they make fun of each other. She's like, stop destroying things, and he's like, you're uptight, remember? And I really like that. I really like that conflict. Like, towards the middle of the game, it's very clear that they have a very big conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Because of what each other has been doing, and they don't agree with each other's methods, but, you know, it all comes back at the end about family and stuff like that. So I really liked having that dynamic front and center rather than a romance, rather than like one guy just kind of swaggering his way through the city.
Which it
was
was
nice.
in some of the early games, but then continued to be like consistently in every single game.
Yeah. That's why I didn't like Edward Kenway.
Yeah, he seemed kind of tropey. Like, he was just kind of like, oh yeah, he's just that dude.
Very tropey.
And kind of frustrating with the third game, because that character could have been something and then kind of didn't. Ended up being just another assassin weirdo. A bit of a shame. Josh, you've played a bunch of it. Do you think you're going to go back and play some more Assassin's Creed Syndicate?
I'd like to like kind of see where it goes. I've heard there's cool parts that I have yet to see, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it right away with all the other cool games coming up. And I wouldn't say it's very high on my priority list.
Okay. So many good games coming out at the moment. It's kind of tough to say.
So
it was a cool game, but it just, I don't know. I got a lot of games on my plate right now.
Yeah, a lot of Destiny, a
Yeah.
lot of Rocket League to play. Those Halloween updates aren't going to get themselves.
Guitar Hero.
boy.
And Guitar Hero as well?
Yeah.
Expert?
That's my plan.
That's not fair. You play real
Whoa.
instruments.
Yeah,
That's not
I'm
fair.
cheating.
But best Assassin's Creed in years then, Alexa?
Yeah, I think it's the best one since 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn.
Really?
2, it reminds me of 2.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go. 9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. Be sure to check out our review and let us know what you think. What's your favorite Assassin's Creed game? Are you interested in Syndicate? Have you picked it up? What do you think yourself? Please put your thoughts in the comment box below. We'll be back here on The Lobby Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific. See you then.